how do we stand now instead of kneeling, and what do we stand for? So I really want to talk to y'all about the updates related to COVID-19, this whole pandemic thing first. Then I'll transition into just the Black Lives Matters movement and how that is going global and what that means for us politically here in Houston and actually across the nation. And then just talk about a little bit about some of the companies and how everybody's not jumping on the bandwagon. I think is really interesting, this little phenomenon. Again, Black lives should have been mattering. And it's unfortunate that we still have people that want to throw out these little statements, these counter statements, these rebuttals. Everybody wants to always talk about, we say Black lives matter, they say all lives matter. And I say all lives do matter, but all lives are not in danger. Black lives are. So if you really believe that all lives matter, you'll be behind making sure that Black lives stayed in existence and didn't meet its demise. So I don't want to hear that all lives matter crap. That's not the point. That's not the focus, and that's not what's in danger. Like I said again, when I saw the two young men with the signs, holding up the signs, that struck me. It struck a real sour chord, in the sense that we shouldn't have to continue to justify why we loving ourselves and why we want police brutality and outright lynching in the streets of black men and black women and black young boys and girls to stop. But I do want to shift back real quick to this whole COVID-19 situation, because again, some of us, we just think it's not real. We really believe in our hearts that that it's a scam, it's a sham, it's a hoax. And I just want to ask you, for those who don't believe, how can you call 100,000 people falling off the face of the earth over the last 3 months a hoax? So something's killing them. Now, whether you're saying it's a government conspiracy, they're injecting us with something, I don't care what your theories are. You need to take things seriously. When it's different if they were saying it's something out there and they try to create this public scare and this panic, but you don't see the body bags. But when you see the trucks pulled up and they running out of space in the morgue for dumping bodies, then you have to start thinking about this a little differently. And so what I want to do is, because I know that a lot of us, especially the younger generation, this generation Y, and these generations that came behind me, the Generation X, you really just don't believe you can't. I've seen the footage when, soon as the quarantine lifted, how y'all were out at the parties like it was a Capitol Beach party, like again, just wilding out, standing in the lines, wrapping around corners to buy some damn Jordans. I saw y'all out there, and so you are the ones who be asymptomatic and then bring it back home and kill your mom and your daddy or your grandparents, and then be living in shame and regret for the rest of your life because you just don't get it and you don't think this stuff is real. But you respect some of the hip hop culture has had that influence, and so those are our modern day prophets. The Tupacs, the Biggies, your Nas's, etc. And so we got a local Houston legend who almost died, and whose life will never be the same again. Has been heavily and deeply impacted by contracting the myth, the conspiracy, this COVID-19 thing. And I want y'all to hear from his mouth, from his lips, and maybe that'll give you just a different way of thinking about this and looking at the world. So right now I want to go to this clip real quick. I actually posted it to my social media, and I hope it gets shared 10 million times, 10 billion times. Hope everybody can see this and understand that this is really what we're dealing with, and we gotta start taking it seriously, or because it's already gonna be with us for a long time. But it'll be with us even longer if we don't start, applying some of these rules and these guidelines, these distancing and some of this other stuff that's gonna keep us safe and keep a handle on the situation. So right now I want to go to Jose Grignon, Houston's very own, interviewing Brad Scarface, our own Houston legend from Ghetto Boys.
And if you don't think COVID-19 can be a killer, just listen to his story. Brad Jordan, also known as Scarface, joins us live. Good morning, and thanks for joining us, man. We were showing some video of you with City Council, because you did try and do some politics at the same time. But how are you feeling right now?
I'm recovering, Mr. Green. I'm recovering. I'm still a little weak
What exactly?
and I'm still a little weak. I don't have a lot of strength in my legs yet. I still haven't got full taste back and sense of smell yet. But I am glad to be alive. If you see this little spot on my chest here, this is where I'm doing my dialysis every day. COVID attacked my lungs first, and then it attacked my kidneys and knocked them out. I got full lung recovery, but my kidneys never came back. So I'm doing dialysis right. I'm getting ready to start it right now.
You know, I wanted to talk with you because a lot of people look up to you, and what you say is extremely important. How serious can you tell young people right now that COVID is?
It's as serious as you could be going on with your life, and then that very next moment you can lose, everything. Kidney function, liver function, lung function, heart function. You could actually die from the COVID. It's crazy. Like, it can actually kill you. I was sick for a whole month. Like, I was sick, and it started off with pneumonia, and then the COVID just sat there. And I almost died right here in this bedroom, man. If you ask my kidney specialist, she will tell you that I'm supposed to be dead. I'm supposed to be among the 100,000 that have transitioned. I hate to put it like that, but that's the truth.
So as you can see, for those of you who just tuning in, I just want to shed a little bit of light on this whole COVID-19 thing. Again, I got a lot of people who, for whatever reason, are refusing to believe that this is real. Are still labeling it, a hoax, a scam, a sham. The government is up to something. It's a conspiracy. We got all kind of theories out there. The numbers are being exaggerated, and again, like I said, some of that may be true. Even if the numbers are exaggerated, and you take 50,000 away, you still have over 50,000 that still just dropped off the face of the earth in the last 3 months behind a pandemic that is not only killing people here, but globally. Almost 500,000 people have died. Over 4 million plus infected, and this is from South America is really getting hit hard right now, especially Brazil. And so when you look at that many people falling off the face of the earth, you can call it. I done heard so many theories, your G5 and all kind of stuff. Again, I don't care what your theory is. Something's killing us. And so my thing is, when I need you to hear from somebody who I think that you might respect a little bit more than media, who some of y'all think lie and is false media. Your president and those people, of course, so we don't believe politicians that much. Some of y'all even refuse to believe the doctors. But like I said, a lot of theories out there, and I think the theories lead to confusion. But when you can see one of your very own, keep in mind too, Slim Thug had it too, but he just recovered, more rapidly and came out better than Scarface, than Brad. Maybe because he was younger, maybe because he didn't have any underlying health conditions. I'm not, again, there's a lot of theories behind it as well. How it affects some differently than others. All I can say though is that our very own Scarface, Houston's Ghetto Boys, almost died and should have been dead, according to his own words, from contracting the coronavirus. Kidneys didn't come back, so kidneys have permanently been damaged and are gone. Life for the rest of his life on dialysis, and as long as that's gonna let him survive and live, but he'll never be the same 100% Brad Scarface that we knew a few months ago that was about to run for political office and probably make some major changes and moves in Houston. He'll never have that capacity in the same degree because of COVID-19. So again, you can call it whatever you want to call it, whatever theories you want to put behind it. Now, what I do want to emphasize too, real quick, is these facts related to how it's spreading, and what they theorize over the next, by September, what this should look like. Now, they're theorizing that even if things flatten right now, the whole curve across every state, that by September in the U.S., over 200,000 lives will have been lost behind coronavirus. Now, I watched another special earlier today, and what they're basically saying is people are still dying, and that average across every state is about 20,000 a month. That's not with a second wave. That's not with things increasing and spiking. And keep in mind, in certain states, it's going up, including Texas. Arizona are almost out of respirators and bed space again. So you actually got certain medical professionals and experts saying we might need to actually shut states down again, which we know our president and other people who want the money are not trying to hear that. So that's going to be a hard bill to sell. So that means a lot of people are going to probably die. That may mean that the number that they're predicting by September may be higher than 200,000. So again, you can be out in these streets, you can act like this thing is not real, you can keep playing games, and you can kill some of your loved ones in the process. So all I'm telling you is that we need to be taking it seriously, and we have to believe that something is killing us. Because guess what? People are dying. Dying, killing. Do you see the correlation? Something has to be killing us for people to be dying. So the fact that you just act like that you're not taking it serious and act like nothing's going on, that's disturbing. Because to me, you're playing right into the hands of those who would like to see our demise. And so we have to always be mindful that, specifically in our communities, we are facing two pandemics. We do want to focus on justice. We do want to focus on a pandemic of racism and that pandemic that's cutting off our breath. But as Brad told you, he lost functionality in his kidneys and his lungs. So it took his breath too, that other pandemic. And got full functionality of his lungs back, but never regained his kidneys. So you heard it from somebody who I think you respect, who I hope you respect. You can keep on with your theories if you want, and keep playing with this thing as if it's not serious. And then we'll see what it look like by the end of 2020. And I just hope and pray that, that nobody you love that's dear to you died because of your ignorance, your stupidity, and your carelessness. So right now, I'm gonna go to a quick commercial break. When I come back, I want to shift gears and talk about the other pandemic and what's going on the global scale with this Black Lives Matter thing, and also talk about all these companies that are not jumping on board, and again what that means for us politically. Because again, even COVID-19 is a political thing. Keep in mind that they're stopping people from going out to vote. They're stopping politicians from having their rallies to campaign to get your vote, right? So all of this is affecting and influencing how we go to the polls, how we vote, who we vote for. So you better believe that they are politicizing the coronavirus. So understand that everything we talk about here is politics and it affects you. So stay tuned. I'll be right back with more Tntn Politics. For you to do. I need you to hold your breath until you can't hold it anymore. And then I want you to get up and get out and get it.
I was a boy, now I'm a man. Same stand with the game plan.
Bad if you want it to breathe. Let's go.
up every day, it's something to prove. I just rest in my eyes, see what I'm gonna do. Get going with ride all the way through. The dream my dad's not mad. Cool. Aim for the sky, then I fly to the roof. You up, your doctor, just stop your move. This dark, dark world, yeah, I feel like Snoop. I didn't give a fuck, he gave her two. You 5, 9 times, get back up 10. About what's best for us to win. Don't think that you did.
Let's talk about procrastination. It is the dream stiller, the dream killer. This one word has stolen more dreams than a lack of money, talent, and resources combined.
What you waiting now?
Hey, welcome back to Tntn Politics, your political right to know. Edward J. Davis again, bringing it straight to your front door. And when we left off again, I was so touched. Two things on my social media that touched me the most so far related to both of these pandemics. I've been hit the hardest by the COVID pandemic situation through Scarface, cause I grew up with I grew up with that music. You know what I'm saying? That was our people that we looked up to and music we played and rock too. And so seeing him in that state, that did something to me. On the other side of the pandemic, which is of course the pandemic of racism, nothing hit me harder than seeing LL Cool J wreck and go in. He pulled something up out of him, man, that came straight from the ancestors, and served us something to just be mindful of. So so when I see my childhood role models and the ones that we looked up to and respected, giving these messages, I just think that for me, I've definitely listened. Now maybe some of you younger cats, you need I don't know who you need to listen to. I don't even know what you listen to no more. But maybe you need some Migos or some or some of them cats that you rock to catch it and die, or to get real, or to get sick. And I ain't gonna get off a bid there because it shouldn't take all of that. But again, I know we respect certain people and certain voices. I'm just hoping that I brought at least one of those voices to you today, so that you can be mindful of what we're up against. Now, I want to shift now to this whole George Floyd situation and how Black Lives Matter has just taken off and is actually a global movement, because we need to understand what to do with that momentum and not just keep kneeling. Again, one thing that Derek D. Rec from Rec Shop said last week on my show, he was like, he supported Colin Kaepernick and the whole kneeling thing during the national anthem, but he was like, okay, we were kneeling, but there was no objective. Like, you're kneeling to bring attention to something, and maybe that was just the role he needed to play to bring the awareness. But are we gonna kneel until we get sores and scabs on our knees? When does the kneeling stop and we stand up for something and put some things in motion? And so I do see that the Black Caucus and other political figures are aggressively trying to expedite certain new policy as relates to policing and reform all the way around when it comes to how our communities are handled by law enforcement. And so, but again, there's a lot of other things that we need to be doing. So just know that there's a lot, that this is a different kind of movement. This has taken effect all over the globe. So right now I'm going to go to this clip real quick to show you just an example of what I'm talking about the wave we've created, and how George Floyd's death kind of reminded me of Emmett Till in terms of just the momentum it has given the black movement and the awareness to communities of color and how we're suffering, and how we've been suffering for a long time, but now we have a platform, and it's up to us to use that wisely. So real quick, let's go up to check out some of this footage, and I'll be back to you in about 2 minutes.
Calls are getting louder. The voices more numerous. London.
I feel that what happened in the US was it was the spark that sparked it everywhere. And It happens here, like I've experienced it.
Racism, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
When you see that happening across the world, you feel a part of yourself die. And everyone out here right now has felt that.
I personally, I know more about the US and the issues there, but it's definitely an issue here. And I think we all need to be here together for it.
It's a worldwide issue, no matter where you are. It's an issue everywhere. We all need to rise up.
What is clear, by the day these protests are gathering global momentum, spreading so far around the world, the sun never sets on someone demanding justice for George Floyd, asking us to understand Black Lives Matter and calling for change.
Black Lives Matter!
Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, right across Australia Saturday, the ripples of anger at George Floyd's killing have turned to waves of protest demanding better rights for Aboriginals. In northern France, crowds joined the global outrage. Indeed, point to a place on the planet. Japan, South Korea, Kenya, South Africa, Lebanon, Canada, where PM Justin Trudeau took a knee. All of these just in the past 48 hours. Everywhere there is hope. The swell of support will amount to change, finally.
So, again, and who would have knew that a little, I mean, unfortunately, again, you don't want to be a martyr. But it's just, again, it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes that level of sacrifice to bring about real change. And like I said, so right now, I just feel like that we have that kind of same momentum that kind of shifted the civil rights movement with Emmett Till's death. And George Floyd, little brother, raised up in, in Third Ward, went to Jack Yates, a lot of, SUC clique, a brother who went to school with my sisters, or my older sister anyway, shaking up the world right now. And we have an opportunity to capitalize off this, but we have to be smart about it, and we have to have a game plan. After the protesting, after the kneeling, after I can't breathe, when are we going to be able to breathe again? And when are we going to be able to make moves that make a difference in our community and in the lives of our people? And so, as you can see, they're in Korea, they're in Lebanon, they're in Kenya, South Africa, they're in Canada, they're in, all over Europe, every place you could think of right now, Australia. They are out in the streets protesting, holding up signs that say Black Lives Matter. Like, I mean, understand the power of that. And again, they also are in the process bringing attention to the injustices in their own neck of the woods. The Aborigines in Australia and other people of other minority classes that have been discriminated against and unjustly, slaughtered in the streets and not able to get, the same types of employment or the same types of benefits, and treated as second-class citizens and marginalized, since they've been here. So to see folks speaking in Japanese, talking about Black Lives Matter, that ought to give you not only a stronger sense of self, but also a sense of urgency in that we have the world's ears. They are finally listening. What are we going to tell them? What are your demands? Do you even know what you want? So I want to kind of piggyback off of that and just talk about some of the companies that are now shifting gears and changing their tone. So Adidas has basically said that they would now hire at least 30% of their new hires in U.S. positions will be blacks and Latinos. So they've committed to. So again, not only is the world getting on board, every company in the U.S. is riding the bandwagon because they understand now we don't want to look like what we used to look like when we really were discriminating and doing some shady stuff. Let's pledge. Let's get on board. But pay attention though, because my attitude is, even though these companies are pledging a lot and want to do a lot, I still would prefer that you went and started your own Adidas company, and that you again you became some competition to some of these companies who have historically disrespected the black and brown dollar. But again, let me just give you some facts right quick to show you the momentum that we've created and how politically significant this is. Adidas says at least 30% of their new hires will be filled by Black and Latinos. Facebook has donated $10 million to groups fighting racial inequality in the U.S. Twitter has actually made Black Lives Matter an official hashtag and the slogan of its official bio. So again, talking about people who have power and political sway and platforms that are now all the way on board. Nike ran a commercial, and it's interesting. The commercial, their slogan is "Just do it," but what they said was, "For once, don't do it." And they said that don't pretend there's not a problem in America. Don't turn your back on racism. Don't make any more excuses. Don't think this doesn't affect you. Don't sit back and be silent. So that's your swoosh. So they say, instead of just do it, please stop doing it. Right? Stop killing black folk. Disney's chief also talked about stepping up their efforts in hiring and how what they create to create a more equitable environment and a better work environment for people of color. You have Intel, who also pledged $1 million to organizations focused on social injustice. You have Levi's, who on Instagram talked about donating $100,000 to ACLU. You have Verizon, who pledged $10 million to social injustice. And of course, a lot of money is going to National Urban League and NAACP. I don't even necessarily agree with that because I want to know where the money is actually going, and is it getting into the hands of the right people who want to do the right things by the people who are being affected, in the most efficient and effective way. But again, it's to show how much they are trying. Of course, Bank of America pledged $1 billion. Then, of course, the two highlights for me are these two. So NASCAR removed the Confederate flag from all of its platforms. I don't know why it would take a global movement to make you understand how the racist connotations and significance of flying a Confederate flag in all of your racing events in the first place. But they've pledged to remove all Confederate flags from every NASCAR event from here on out, I'm assuming. And then NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell finally came out and apologized and issued some statements saying that he was wrong for being so critical of NFL players, specifically, of course, Colin Kaepernick, who they blackballed, Colin Kaepernick, that they were wrong and they should not have, done that, because they would rather have saw that knee in silent protest than what they got when these riots jumped off, and then seeing that knee on George Floyd's neck. So again, we see a lot of people making change, a lot of companies getting on board and trying to back us, want to give us jobs, want to, I guess you say jobs that have livable wages, careers, if that's the route you want to take. Doors are being opened. Are you walking through those doors? What's the game plan for your kneeling? What's the game plan for your rioting? What's the game plan for your protests? What's the game plan for your I can't breathe? Because you can't hold your breath forever. So I just want us to be mindful of what's taking place. Although, again, your current president, your sitting president, is going against all of this. He's on Twitter blasting Roger Goodell for even going back, for even recanting and retracting, going back on his statements. He's blasting, everybody who's on board with Black Lives Matter, and he hasn't even really said much of a word about it. Not to mention the fact that leaders off of army bases, which was proposed to him, that would have been a good show, of support for the movement and for true reform when it comes to how we run America and actually bringing the people together instead of always trying to divide us. So just know that your sitting president, still saying Black lives don't matter. But again, that's the show for the day. I really appreciate you for tuning in. Understand that you still need to get out to vote. There's still may be an option to vote by mail. The litigation is still in play. I'll keep you updated on that as it goes on. I actually have the district attorney or the city attorney back on, because I had him on before discussing it, Mr. Lemon, and I'll get some other people on that will keep you updated to see whether or not you got to risk your life to go and cast your vote, or what you can vote from the comfort of your home. But whatever you do, vote. Let's change things. 2020 is a time for change. Stay tuned. Keep tuning in, and I'm going to keep bringing it to you. Again, this was Tntn Politics. I'm your host, Edward J. Davis. See you next Friday, 6 p.m.